for the remaining stages.
Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member Louisa Wall. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. E ngā mana, e ngā reo, rangatira mā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa, tēnā koutou ngā whānau o ngā Tamanuhiri o Ngati Makino. Mr Speaker, it's my privilege. This is the first opportunity I've had to address the House as the Member of Parliament for Manurewa. So I want to take the opportunity to thank the people of Manurewa for electing me as their representative. And in saying that, I want to acknowledge how honoured I am to sit on the Māori Affairs Select Committee. I want to congratulate you in your new role. Actually, as the President of the Parliamentarians for Global Action, as well as your Assistant Speaker role. I want to acknowledge the Honourable Chris Finlayson as the Minister of Treaty Negotiations, the Honourable Peter Sharbles as the Minister of Māori Affairs. I want to acknowledge the work of Tau Henare as the Chair of the Māori Affairs Select Committee, with the Honourable Parekora Horomea as his Deputy. I want to acknowledge Ngai, the Honourable Ngai Mahuta as a previous member of the Māori Affairs Select Committee. And I also want to acknowledge my colleague Reno Tirakatini and congratulate him on his election as the MP for Te Tai Tonga. I want to acknowledge Brendan Horan here in the House as a New Zealand First member and a member of the Māori Affairs Select Committee, and also Louise Upston, who's a member of the Māori Affairs Select Committee. Previous speakers have outlined the deed of settlement that Ngā Tamanuhiri and Ngati Makino are to receive. And actually what I want to say is that the process that we're engaged in now is actually a rubber stamp of the process that you have been through. It's not for us to add anything to what you have negotiated with the Crown. But what I do want to say is that regardless of the differing views on the settlement process, which we must acknowledge is fundamentally about the property rights of Māori, it is these treaty settlement bills coming before this House that formalises and redresses for breaches of the Treaty of Waitangi, which is the founding document of our country, and that has been agreed to by iwi and hapu after a process of historical reconciliation and engagement with the Crown. The treaty settlement process in itself and this resulting legislation that we're debating tonight in the first reading is one of the few means by which Māori are given legal recognition as New Zealand's Indigenous people, as the first sovereign and the party to a contract, Te Tiriti o Waitangi, that gave rise to the establishment of the expression of our democracy in this House that we are in tonight. This treaty settlement context is also the process that confirms the unique status that Māori have in Aotearoa New Zealand as New Zealand's first or original peoples. And I want to make this point, that the treaty settlement process highlights that while immigrant groups have heritage identities to other countries and other cultures and languages, their iwi and hapu have their identities embedded in their awa, their moana, their maunga, their tikanga, their reo, their kawa, that can only come from here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And it is this process that recognises the established right of Māori as New Zealand's Indigenous peoples, which was strengthened by the Treaty of Waitangi. But what I want to say is that we had a status regardless of the treaty, and that status needs to be reinforced in legislation, and that is something that I'm committed to. So for me, these bills are part of the path of endorsing the status of Māori as Indigenous people and endorsing our rights that come from that status. So Māori rights to property are one of the important steps in recognising and celebrating Māori status as New Zealand's Indigenous peoples. And these treaty settlements for Ngā Tamanuhiri and Ngati Makino and others who will be in the whare later tonight are essentially about recognition of them in their own right, about compensating them for the property rights that they either lost or had taken from them. And I want to draw the distinction between land, which actually has some legal parameters around, but other property that has been subsequently commodified. And I particularly want to talk about water. There is no legal status for ownership of water. And that is why, for me, the proposed Section 9 removal across any portion of our state asset where Māori interests are yet to be determined in itself will be a new treaty breach. So my contribution tonight is really about acknowledging the road that you've gone down to get here. And for me, it's been like climbing Mount Everest. And the tenacity and the fight of our whānau to get to processes, to get to a deed of settlement has been long fought. And I think in the future, our role is to ensure that those generations that come after us don't have to climb high mountains, but actually the path should be pretty straight, and it should be easy for the next generation of Ngati, Makino and Ngai Tamanuhiri to be able to exercise their right as tangata whenua, as mana whenua of this country. So I want to thank Parikura for the opportunity for me to speak. I haven't been involved in treaty settlements yet. I'm going to be on the road with Tau in the future.
Order,
but I want
order.
to acknowledge...
Member must use the member's full name.
Honourable Tau Henere, but I want to acknowledge the journey that you have made to be here tonight. I want to honour this deed of settlement that you have negotiated with the Crown, and I'm happy to be part of a process in the future that will ensure you can sign this deed of settlement and get on with exercising your right of rangatiratanga over your lands. Kia ora.
I call the honourable member David Clendon.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker.